Today we talk about movie sequels. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've tuned into the Chocolate Dollar Show.
Hailing from the Midwest region of the United States, we introduce to you the Chocolate Dollar Podcast.
Yeah. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chocolate Dollar Show. I'm Jonathan. In the studio today, we have...
The studio,
the studio, his basement.
And then phoning in all the way from Virginia, it's the one, the only. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
But I'm Noah. Hi.
No, hi.
All right,
I'm new here. Hi.
So as stated in the intro bit, we're going to talk about movie sequels, but we're not going to talk about just any movie sequels. We're actually going to be making
Non-existent.
Non-existent. We're making up our own movie sequels. The rules are, it doesn't have to. If it's a character that's been in a movie franchise, like a crossover, like for instance Doctor Strange. Since there has not necessarily been a Doctor Strange 2, a direct
sequel for his movie.
You could still do that potentially.
Oh, even though he's in other movies?
Even though he's in other movies as that character.
Yeah.
So you could do Hulk, you could do whatever. And Ed mentioned this before, if there's a prequel but not a sequel, that could still count.
What about an inbetweequel?
An inbetweequel? Ooh. I guess you could do that as well. The whole point.
What?
the whole idea is just a movie edition that has not been come about yet. So I would encourage the sequel over the in-betweequel, but you could do the in-betweequel.
now you got my brain thinking of in-betweequels. Like, how would you do that?
That's a good question, dude. I don't know.
Would it have to be between, like if you had the original movie and then the character is gone for a certain period of time and they come back, so it's like that in-between part? So, you know?
You could do the Obi-Wan Kenobi
Begins,
movie.
Like, only the time where he's in prison.
Yeah.
That's that movie.
Anyways.
Do you want me to take the lead on this one?
Yes, I'm going to have Noah go, then I'll go, then I'll let Ed go, because I'm assuming, because I thought about it. I'm assuming you haven't thought about it at all. So we're going to let Noah go. And here's the thing. You don't have to be super detailed. Just kind of explain the basic premise of it, your thoughts about it, and then we can all kind of riff off of it and build it up together. So, Noah, take it away.
Break it down.
So I think the one that I've been thinking about a lot, I think we all want it, honestly.
Inception
is a Warcraft.
Warcraft sequel.
Oh yeah.
No, Ed. Actually, I did think about Inception. The problem I thought about Inception and Interstellar. The problem with those two, as much as I would like to see, like those ideas and stuff with like new characters or something like that, is I feel like the original movies do perfectly fine without a sequel.
I was thinking
I don't really need or want a sequel for those movies. You know?
I was thinking along the same lines because like I actually Googled like movies that don't have sequels just to kind of get some ideas. Inception kept coming up, but I was like, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like ending how it ended. I'm okay with that being a standalone movie. That doesn't have to have a sequel.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's one of my favorite movies, and I would love to see that kind of dreamscape. Even if it wasn't a direct sequel, but it was maybe involving one or two characters and then like another type of thing that they go on. I don't really need or want a sequel to that, you know?
Anyway, so continue. You said Warcraft 2.
No, that was a complete lie.
Nope.
Okay, good.
You have to run with it now. You gotta go.
Say, well, because isn't Japan getting a sequel? It's just in the States we're not.
I don't
think
like that. So. I haven't heard anything. I don't know.
Anyways, continue.
Thank gosh, no. I don't want anything to do with that movie ever again. That movie is always going to be a joke to us. Like, we'll be 100%. 80 years old sitting on our porch drinking like
remember
sweet
that time we went and saw
Warcraft? What a crap. What a crap show.
But then we'll watch it and in our senile minds think it's the greatest movie ever made.
No, we won't. No one in their right mind will think that.
That's what I'm saying. We're senile. We're not in our right mind.
Even then, dude. Even then.
Actually, we should just scrap the idea and just rip on Warcraft.
We'll do an episode where we reanalyze, we revisit Warcraft in a full
I don't
in-depth
want to
episode.
rewatch that movie.
No, I'm not saying rewatch it. I'm saying we'll reanalyze it.
The books are a lot better.
You have to rewatch it to reanalyze it.
True.
Continue. What movie would you actually want an actual sequel to that has not existed yet? or is not
So-
currently existing?
This one is kind of interesting because it's a movie that's actually 10 years old now, this year. And the first one was pretty bad, but I think it was just because they didn't... The original movie is Jumper. I want a sequel to Jumper.
Okay, yeah.
The director, Doug Liman, did Edge of Tomorrow. He did Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He directed the very first Bourne movie, Bourne Identity, and he was an executive producer for the rest of the Bourne movies. He knows what he's doing for action movies. I think, and he himself said that he did some things in Jumper that he wishes he didn't, and he has wanted to change it ever since then. They're actually making, I think it's a YouTube, no.
A web series?
Netflix?
Or a Netflix original series?
I think it's a Netflix original series that's like in that universe, but it's not a sequel.
Why couldn't you just reboot that? Like, I feel like that's when you could reboot.
Right. I don't know. But the idea, the concept of like the jumpers and the people that hunt them, I think paladins are what they were called. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's paladins. But like,
I just thought it was the
concept
guy.
is very cool.
I just thought it was the Samuel Jackson crew. Like, that was...
Yeah, so Samuel Jackson. Jamie Bell as like the sidekick jumper was incredible in that. I think he really carried the movie. Hayden Christensen was pretty bad. He was pretty bad, yeah. Max, I think it's Theroux is his last name. That's how you pronounce it.
How you spell it?
He's much old. Theriot.
Terrio.
Sure. So he's 10 years older now, and he's actually a really good actor. He was in Bates Motel. He's done a couple of other things. I think he could play, now that he's older, because he played the younger version. He could play the older version now in a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that way you don't have to use Hayden Christensen again. Sorry, Hayden.
Aww.
But you're just not a good actor.
Well,
okay.
I would
I
like
see what
to
you're
see.
What's he look like?
We'll click on
Who, Hayden Christensen?
Ooh.
No, Max. This
No.
is what he looked like in Jumper.
Yeah,
Oh.
Kind of looks like a Zac Efron type.
kind of.
And then this is him in Today.
Dang, yeah, he looks pretty different.
Yeah.
Got
So
a
I
beard.
would like to see a sequel to that movie, just because the concept of jumpers is so like intriguing, and like the director Doug Liman does really good stuff with action movies, and I think that he could kind of redeem the first one.
Yeah.
And like, because the first movie is an hour and a half long. It's a very short movie.
Yeah.
And you're left with a lot of questions as to like, what's with his mom?
Remind me-
Why are jumpers and paladins?
Remind me how it ended, because honestly, sequels are kind of built on how a movie ended, and so I'm
Yes.
trying to remember how it ended.
So basically, he leaves Samuel Jackson in some godforsaken who knows where place. We're not really sure if Jamie Bell's character dies. Hayden Christensen gets the girl, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And he finally finds his mom after like 20 years or something like that.
That's right, yeah, and then it just kind of ends when he finds his
And
mom.
Kristen Stewart is like his mom's new daughter or whatever, because she like remarried or whatnot.
Gotcha.
Michael Rooker is actually his dad in that, and Michael Rooker's phenomenal. I love Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that he's, in that movie, because it was before he was in really anything else, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them go back to that. Maybe drop the girl, I think Rachel, whatever her name is. I
Yeah.
don't care. Drop her, just focus on the plot between like his mom and him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make it like a rom-com.
Yeah. What's the actress's
One
name?
continuous shot the whole movie. Just a really artsy film.
Rachel Bilson. That's her name. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting to because honestly, I get why you'd have a love story, because it creates the drama and it creates the tension and stuff like that. But I feel like I prefer action movies that don't rely on the romance being
No,
in jeopardy.
yeah.
Like,
Like that was the entire movie, honestly, was him like
trying to protect
finding
her
his
while
childhood
he was being
girlfriend,
hunted.
or childhood crush or whatnot, and then like you didn't really get to see a whole lot of the Jumper Paladin rivalry, which I think you could really flesh out in the sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's his mom who's a paladin.
Yeah, you could build a whole movie franchise off of that whole dynamic. Like it's similar to the Assassin's versus Templars in the Assassin's Creed series. Like you could do Paladin versus Jumpers.
You could do prequels of like pre-ancient times where Jumpers and Paladins, like the very first time that this rivalry was fleshed out, like with the Jumpers and Paladins. You could do a lot there. But I do want to see a continuation of his story, of David's story, because like his mom, I think that there's a lot there, because you could tell like the mom didn't really want to leave him, but there was a reason why, and we never really got to that reason. Yeah, and I think that there are a lot of questions, and I think that relationship, the broken relationship, could play for a lot of interesting, like drama and like I don't know. Yeah, and like obviously the action between like the Jumpers, like that is a cool ability. Yeah, like it was shown well, like they defined it really well in the movie. Yeah, that's probably one of the best parts of the movie.
Really quick, have you seen this movie at all?
No.
Or no? Okay,
I saw the poster.
The whole idea, the Jumpers are
is
teleporters.
That just light effect?
Yes.
I will admit that that ability I stole from Jumper.
You 100%
yes. Except for Jumpers, you have to like have a visual understanding of the location you're teleporting to.
You have to visually see
it.
Like you have to. I think you have to have been there at one point or another.
Yeah, or something like that.
You have to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy, like, so the whole thing is like the Jumper, the main character, Hayden Christensen's character, has like this board of. It looks like a conspiracy board almost, but it's got like pictures all over it and stuff like that. And there's places he's been. He's gone there, taken a picture, and he can visually, since he knows, like, okay, I've been to the top of the Sphinx.
Yeah.
He can teleport there. He can teleport in places that he sees. Like where he's at.
Like he teleports into like a bank vault, really, to start off like his life.
Yeah, and that's how he like builds his wealth to go to all these places to eventually make it so he can teleport all the time and be a womanizer and stuff like that. Is he steals money like that? That's how he makes his living.
So he's an immoral person.
To start off, yes.
Yes.
I think that would be an interesting sequel to kind of build off of.
Yeah.
Now, would you say like a continuation of the previous story, or would you say reboot and then?
I don't think you need to reboot. I think you can redeem the first movie because
with different actors.
The first movie is so short. Like you don't get to really connect to the characters. The story is not good, but it's not like bad. It doesn't have a whole bunch of plot holes. It doesn't have like just it can be redeemed. Yeah. You drop the girl, you focus on the mother-son dynamic, you learn more about the history of paladins and jumpers, you get some more good action scenes. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah. So the girl, when you say drop it, do you say like we just forget about her character, or do we just say that she was killed off?
Either one. I don't care. Like
I think killing her off would be more powerful than just like, we just ignore that she ever existed.
Here's the thing with killing her off. It can become a Quantum of Solace problem, where Quantum of Solace was so bogged down with, she died in the last movie. She's dead. I can't get past it.
Yeah. I feel like it
can drag the movie down.
It can, but I also feel like if you kill her off, but you don't let that become a like. You have that be a small motivating factor, but you focus on the dynamic between the mom and the son.
So you're more like,
you think along the lines of of the third Bourne movie, where was it the third or the second one? Yeah, it was the third one.
It was Ultimatum because she gets killed off at the end of
at the beginning.
Or no, at the beginning of Supremacy. The girl he meets in the first one, she dies in the beginning of Supremacy, and then Ultimatum like picks up exactly where Supremacy left off.
Yes. So, sorry, that was done pretty
Spoiler alert.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, those movies are however old now.
Yeah.
So I think, they're probably like that second one is 15 years old. Because Identity came out in 2002.
Yeah.
where Matt Damon was really looking like Ed.
Yeah.
You guys could be twins for that one.
You'd be the blonde stepchild.
Yeah, exactly. Recast the original Bourne movie with Ed.
Gosh.
No, because Doug Liman was on board with that one. He was a producer. So that one handled the death of the girlfriend pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. That could be done well.
Yeah. You just
have to be careful with it.
Acknowledge it in the beginning and then let it go and bring it up every once in a while, but not very often.
It's just that's a tricky one.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
You don't keep her in the movie by showing lots of flashbacks and ghost imagination of her.
Remember me?
Yeah, you don't do that. I like the Jumper 2. Okay, here's the question then. The ultimate question for any sequel: is it simply Jumper 2 or is it Jumper with a subtitle?
The Squeakquel.
Okay, so they're based on books. So I'm gonna Google
the Jumper book series.
Jumper books. Jumper series.
1992 science fiction novel by Stephen Gould.
Yeah.
Good.
Reflex, Shade, Impulse. Impulse is the name of the series that they're gonna make. Impulse.
Okay.
Jumpers. You could name it Jumpers.
Except then flip the Z so it's a 2.
Yeah.
Gonna be super edgy with this one, 1980s. All right, cool. So I like Jumpers or Jumper Reflex or something like that.
Yeah,
one of those two.
Jumper : Reflex, Jumper : Shade, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Jumper.
What are you laughing about?
Jumper : Reflex. Sorry, I was listening to it a little differently.
Jumper : Colonoscopy.
All right, cool. All right, so that's Jumpers 2.
Can I really teleport anywhere I want?
Or we could be real creative and be Jumpers Reflex, but
anyways.
All right, so there's Jumper 2, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on. I went back and forth between 3 of them for me.
So back and forth.
I initially thought, what if we did an in-betweequel? I thought about it before you even mentioned it. An in-betweequel between Hulk disappearing in Age of Ultron and him reappearing in Ragnarok, and it'd be the Thulk.
He's in
The
Ragnarok.
Thulk.
the Hulk, a solo movie called Planet Hulk, and it would be him being found by the
But we already
gladiators.
got that in Ragnarok.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be the in-betweequel. It'd be pick up right when he's it would end right when he. Anyways, but I decided against it just because that's going to be really difficult. Then I thought about, well, we never got Amazing Spider-Man 3, and it kind of bugs me. They just kind of left it, but at the same time, we didn't really need to continue in that.
No.
So ultimately, I decided to go with a Pixar movie.
Ooh.
I think Inside Out 2 would have some interesting dynamic. Have either of you seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I think Inside Out 2 would be the girl as a mother dealing with a whole new set of emotions of raising a child similar to her.
So it's her, but it's her as a mother, parenting.
Her as a mother parenting, and so you see all the emotions and all the stuff that she's dealing with as a mother. It'd be a great Mother's Day movie, to be completely honest.
Sure.
But would it?
So it's her dealing with motherhood. You get the same cast back to play their characters and whatnot, and everything that she goes through, and such.
Joy has died. It's just welcome to motherhood.
That's actually some interesting dynamic if Joy is missing for a while and then she kind of comes back to realize the rewards of motherhood and all that type of stuff.
If her kid is just an absolute brat.
Yeah. And then you could also introduce some new emotions with also occasionally swapping back and forth between the daughter and mother. So you kind of get the mother-daughter dynamic a little bit going on. You could also have some hilarious jokes again with the husband aspect of it, but that's besides the point.
Sadness finds the drug memory and Joy's back there. Oh, hey.
No, but I think that'd be an interesting dynamic of
sadness just turns into crippling depression.
But yeah, so I think you could get some good heart feeling out of that. That'd be an interesting dynamic on it, I think. And so that's ultimately why I just settled on I'd like to see it in Inside Out too.
I think the parenting could be really cool, really powerful. The only thing I have with that is because Pixar is usually geared more towards kids, it's hard for a kid to kind of connect to an adult, you know.
Yeah,
But I
could see
think that if you're still focused on the emotions, I think the emotions can still carry it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Then again, they did Up, which
exactly.
There was a little kid.
It's true.
In that,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could do, because like honestly, as a little kid, the main reason that you're watching a Pixar movie is because it's a cartoon and there's a bunch of funny elements in it. Pixar is really good at balancing their movies for gearing them towards kids, but also having an aspect that parents and older people can appreciate.
Right,
I still want to see
ages.
every Pixar movie in theaters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so like I feel like that would be really interesting. And honestly, that'd be a great marketing campaign for like this Mother's Day, Inside Out 2, and like so I think that'd be really cool. You guys,
you definitely get money from that.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. Pixar, hit me up. I got your next big moneymaker. All right.
Because they did sign a deal, I think, with Disney where they had to do some sequels, like for a couple movies.
Yeah, which Incredibles 2 is coming out this summer.
Yeah,
so stoked. Definitely going to be talking about that in our Summer Movie Madness episode.
Yeah.
I hope that's good.
I hope it's good.
Summer Movie Madness or Incredibles 2?
I hope our Summer Movie Madness is good.
But yeah, so like. There's definitely potential because it's not like Pixar is outside of the realm. I mean, they have 3 and potentially going to be a 4th Toy Story movie coming out.
Right. They know how to do sequels.
Yeah.
Well, except for Finding Dory and Monsters University, but we don't.
I actually liked Monsters University.
You're in the vast minority.
Well, that's fine. I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with that. Less impressed with Finding Dory. And
Finding Dory was all over the place.
Although the worst Pixar sequel to date is Cars 2.
Yo, true. Very true.
Not saying it's a bad movie. It's just not up to my Pixar standards.
So maybe they are hit and miss with their sequels.
Yeah, I think Inside Out 2 has some good potential, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Inside Out 2 could be really good.
Inside Out 2 could be among the realm of Toy Story 2 and 3. Like, where it's almost better than the first one.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
What if they had Up 2 and then Russell dies, so the guy's depressed again? He's like, oh no.
He's just like, he can't even walk on his own. He's like in a stroller, basically.
The wheelchair.
Somebody has to change his diaper.
He gets an artificially intelligent wheelchair, which becomes the sidekick to the movie, and that's a whole new character dynamic.
The dog dies because he's a dog and only lives so long. Yeah.
Wow.
That's super dark. We're going away from that right now.
Dude,
Up 2, no good.
After that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
how you get people to cry, Pixar. Kill off
every character, yeah. Gosh, Pixar turns Game of Thrones.
What if he just became like, he just becomes like the Godfather, and so he's just old, depressed, and just like a drug running.
That would not fly.
Drugs in like Argentina.
That would not fly as a kids movie. You become Soldier 76.
Sure?
So yeah.
You guys keep stalling while I think of a movie. I'm really not.
Do you have anything to add to the Inside Out 2? That's just kind of the basic premise of it right now. I don't have like plot points or anything like that.
I mean,
obviously it ends happily because it's a Pixar movie.
You get a couple kids, like one's teenaged, one's like school or something.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Yeah. You add multiple kids to the mix, and then she deals. Yeah. Then you introduce stress as an emotion into the thing. Like
stress
there you
isn't
go.
an emotion,
there you go.
But you can have like the emotions
stress?
like overworked or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Tired or something like that.
yeah, that'd be hilarious. Like I think that'd be really interesting because like the whole story would mostly be about how the feelings adjust to meet this new chapter of life, and then you see the result in the like the real world aspect of it.
You could have some good jokes with like disgust with like going into the kids' room or something.
Yes, yes.
This thing is a pigsty.
And they've all totally evolved, like
grown
matured. Yeah, grown up, except for Joy. And like Joy is like
Joy is still Joy.
Yeah, but Joy is having like they can't find.
I really
Joy.
like.
Ed, what is with you and Death? Good Lord, dude.
So I guess that in Ed's sequel, one of the characters is gonna die.
Well, I was thinking Old Yeller too, but that slightly newer Yeller.
Slightly newer Yeller. All right, so I mean we can
know
riff
how
on...
you love animals in your movies.
Oh heck yeah!
All right, cool. So I think we've said all that needs to be said for Inside Out 2.
Everything that I can think of though already has a sequel. Like,
Okay,
I mean,
well then, could
I'm
you
even running through all the Disney
do
movies,
a
and
sequel? I don't know.
well, like I didn't like Cars 2. I'll admit that. And there's other sequels that I haven't.
I think Cars 2 would have been better if it was just Mater the movie.
Yeah,
It would not have been better.
It would have
would've
at
been
least made
worse.
more sense in
if
my
they
head,
would have,
though.
like advertised it as Mater the movie, I feel like I would be less disappointed.
Yeah, there'd be less
Right, that's fair.
expectations.
Yeah,
for it.
your expectations going into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's why I say it would have been better if they would have just called it that instead of Cars 2, because it's like, I haven't seen Cars 3 yet,
it was.
though.
Yeah,
Same.
I haven't either. I think it's on Netflix.
I'm gonna watch it eventually, but
I'll get around to it.
yeah.
It's not high on my priority list.
Whoa.
Okay, so-
it's not.
So, let's see. What were you?
Well, okay. My problem was I was thinking all of these like Avengers movies and all that like
Yeah.
superhero universe, and there's so much build off already for those
Yeah.
that like those are pretty much all out.
Yeah.
All these Disney movies that if you think about, there is like a Little Mermaid 2 even that I never saw, Pocahontas 2, Lion King 2,
Yeah.
Toy Story
Yeah.
2, Cars 2.
There's a Lion King 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. So
Which is funny because like chronologically it's between 1 and 2, so 2.5
Yeah.
is like, wouldn't it be 1.5 and then?
Well,
anyways.
it's like it is an in-betweequel. Yeah. The
Well, it's a during
during
equal.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I think
it's
that's
it's
in
Timon
betweequel.
and Pumbaa during the first Lion
don't
King.
spoil it.
It's advertised as that.
I've seen it.
Also, that was made like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and it was hilarious when I was a little kid. Like, I kind of want to rewatch
absolutely.
it as an adult just to see if it still resonates the same.
Oh,
But,
No, it's probably just a bunch of fart jokes.
but that's
Timon
funny.
and Pumbaa.
yeah, that's funny.
Good point.
I actually watched Lion King too.
As well, or like
Yeah.
Lion King 2.
I actually watched Lion King as well.
Okay, sorry.
Also,
Also,
he
you
watched
could.
Lion King 2 too.
I guess we could also like include spin-offs because those are technically sequels. So like, there's another spin-off of another series or TV or movie you've seen.
See, the thing is, I also like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You could
they
fantasize
already have
about.
But
no,
they already
no.
have sequels and
No,
prequels.
no,
yeah.
I'm saying the
a solo
Silmarillion.
Gimli movie.
Solo Gimli movie.
I was saying you could do the Silmarillion.
Simmer, I don't know what that is.
That's like how the ring was made.
Oh,
There's also Narnia.
sounds like a lot of engineering. So I try to avoid that. Have any of you guys seen Prince Valiant?
No.
That
No.
sounds vaguely familiar.
So should I talk about it?
Go
and then
for
it
it.
would be just
Sure.
like jumper.
Go for it.
Well, okay, Prince Valiant's an older movie. It's the first thing that came to my head that you could even try to do something with. But Prince Valiant is the prince of some little kingdom that gets taken over by bad Vikings. And so his parents send him away. And then he goes and finds King Arthur and the Round Table and Sir Gawain. And then he gets trained to be a knight. And then one of the guys there is like, there's like the Black Knight who's been roaming around there. So they're worried about that. So, moral of the story is Prince Valiant, it's been a while since I've seen it. I think he gets kind of kicked out and returns back home, and then leads a,
Revolution.
well, kind of little revolution. But he gets the good Vikings to fight the bad Vikings, and they end up winning and saving his hometown. But then he figures out that the leader behind this whole like takeover was the Black Knight from back in Camelot. So he goes back there and he
Bum bum bum.
and he duels for that. So I think you could try to do something prequel to that, or
Yeah. Well,
with
you could also
the former king.
How does it end?
He duels the Black Knight and
Does he
kills him.
win?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
With the singing sword.
With the singing sword.
It's just this
Nice.
sword.
Dude,
which
okay. To give you perspective, Noah, this movie came out in 1954.
That sounds about right.
Hey, what am I gonna say?
You see it without glasses in CinemaScope.
Yeah,
That's on the
boom.
cover. I think that has some interest. Like that could almost be kind of like a reboot too.
Honestly,
if you like
if they
redid
tried,
it, 'cause that's an interesting premise.
I get really like edgy about reboots because I also really liked Ben-Hur. I never saw the new one, but I heard that it sucked. Kind of thing. Just some of these like old classic movies.
You can do reboots right though. Like you just don't take it and turn
True.
it into an action version.
But
Yeah.
you
Like-
don't want to just oversaturate the market with reboots. Like you can do some new stuff too.
Yeah. But like if you just kind of like built on a continuation of this, and like you could almost build on a continuation without even acknowledging.
So, Ed,
like,
is it
so it's
based
kind of
on
a
like
reason-
the King Arthur mythos and like the Knights of the Round Table, like all
I
that? Like you
I
said?
think so. I mean, I don't know too much about all like King Arthur stuff, but it's definitely like part.
basic
They say
knowledge.
King Arthur, they say Sir Gawain. It's like all of
the
those
Black
guys.
Knight and all that. Yeah.
I mean,
be-
then if it's built on that, there's definitely room for sequel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can always have more King Arthur movies. Like,
Yeah.
So wait, so the Sir Gawain came from like another place and like.
So,
So
well,
how did
okay.
he get there?
Prince Valiant and his home castle, they are being taken over by bad Vikings, and so he goes.
do you want me to read the premise to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for that.
So the premise is a young Viking prince strives to become a knight of King Arthur's court and restore his exiled father to his rightful throne. So he's not even fighting for his own right to be king. He's fighting to restore his family's kingdom.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, there's that's a really interesting premise, and I kind of want to see this movie now, just to kind of like. I mean,
Yeah,
sure,
I
it's
kinda
not going to
wanna-
be. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I also really liked it. This isn't really like a big plot thing, but the sword that I don't remember who has. Oh, Prince Valiant eventually uses it. I don't remember who used it before, but it's a sword that like only sings in the right hands, and by singing, it just like rings a certain way and stuff.
Right, yeah.
And as a kid growing up, I was like, oh, that's so cool and stuff.
Yeah.
And so just even
Like
kind of
Thor's
like
hammer.
yeah, or even like Sting for the Lord of the Rings thing, where like I realize that's in anybody's hand that it turns blue, but just like that weapon with that,
It has a
kinda-
special ability.
yeah,
Yeah.
it-
Well, and like, because if you think about it, that's kind of with King Arthur, like that fits perfectly in that universe because King Arthur, Excalibur, is his sword.
Yeah.
Like he is the
Yeah.
chosen one for that mighty weapon. And like,
Yeah.
sure, anybody could use it, but like, he's the guy who pulled it from the stone. He's the guy who found it in
Right.
the lake or whatever. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, depending on the version of
Right.
King Arthur
Exactly.
stuff you go with. But it's interesting for sure.
Now thinking back to this, I really like that movie, but I don't know how I would like work something into that or around it without having it be like you could do something with a prequel, but it's been long enough since I've seen it that I really don't know what it would be
You
to
could-
lead into this or afterwards.
You
since they,
could
like
do a sequel with it though.
yeah.
yeah.
Because like what you were saying was he was fighting for his family and his home to be restored.
Yeah.
And
It
you
wasn't for
could
selfish
go-
reasons.
Right. You could go like in the sequel, his father could die, and then he would have to be king now of his home, and what he would do with that, like trying to, coordinate with King Arthur or something like that.
Well, the kind of bad news is there's like a whole entire comic series that came out before we were born that's like the sequel to this.
Oh wait, really?
So it pretty much
You know what?
has
It's
to
a
be
comic.
a pre-
That's
Well, I'm also going to
that's a
say
comic. You
this.
can ignore that.
I'm also going
Yeah.
to say this. Star Wars had tons of comics that was completely decanonized as soon as they decided to make new movies. So
Oh yeah.
you could do the same thing with this. Like you can count it as
Yeah.
legend and like put it under that banner or whatever, and then be
Yeah, comic and books aren't movies, aren't movie sequels.
yeah. And the question is, were the books first or were the movie first? And then if the movie came
I
first,
don't know if
then-
there were books
This sounds like something that a movie would have come first, and then they would have had comic books added to
with
it.
as similar as it, all the movie like the comic book drawings are to what was actually in the movie. I'm pretty sure the movie did come first, but I don't know. It was just a movie that my dad
pretty
really
cool
liked.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start a whole new like episode series, I guess you could say, for the podcast where we like revisit old movies and
Ed
like
would be king
go
on
into
that
them.
one.
Yes, 100%. We could
Ed
start
would
off with this.
destroy us with knowledge on that one.
Well, what I'm saying is like we all like have the assignment like at some point before we record this episode, let's all watch it at some point, and then we'll like talk about it and
Well, we all got that
resonate and stuff.
VCR player, right?
I got a VHS player. Yeah.
Ed, we know you don't have a Blu-ray player.
I do.
Actually, he
now.
does now.
Xbox.
Hey!
With his Xbox, that's
Yeah.
true.
But yeah, no, I think that's really interesting, and yeah, all right, cool.
I agree. There can
Nice
be
job,
some,
Ed.
some
Boom.
cool.
Yeah. Hey, first one. That came
Go,
to-
Ed. Nicely
Yeah.
done.
Have you
All right,
guys seen
cool.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
I have not actually. Is that another one?
22,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Not 22. No, but it has like the same guy who plays the Black Knight.
Oh,
Not James Earl Jones. That's a different person. James Mason, I think. but either way, like he dies at the end, so it's another one that it's like, dang it, you can't
Get away from
that. That'd be interesting if like
And he sinks the ship.
okay, so since this it would be a sequel that's like so long, like since the original one came out, it's almost kind of like you're kind of reintroducing people to the idea of it. So you could start off with the final scene being recreated from the first one.
Yeah.
So you kind of have like a kickstart point from like
Agreed, yeah.
it starts off, you're super confused. Why is he fighting the Black Knight? He kills the Black Knight. You see there's some history between King Arthur and stuff. He maybe revisited a little bit because has been so long, but then like the whole thing is him like the aftermath.
What about this? Can I just pitch this real quick? I have to be going
Go for
soon.
it.
You can
That's
cut
fine.
that out. But 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea would work way better, I think, for a prequel, because if you guys haven't seen the movie or read the book, there is some sailors go out on a ship and they're talking about a whale that comes and destroys your ship. And they're all like, oh, haha, it's a joke. And so they bring along this one guy, Ned Land, kind of the main character, who's a harpooner. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not scared of it's a whale kind of thing. Come to find out that they like come up on a wrecked ship and it's just totally blown up. And they're like, okay, what? A whale would not blow up a ship. And so they like see the monster and shoot at it and whatnot. And then it comes back and you eventually learn it's a ship.
giant.
It's a submarine.
Oh, I thought it was a giant squid.
That's in the movie, but that's not the thing. So it blows up the ship and Ned Land and then like professor guy who wanted to study it, and
Nemo?
then his Nemo's the captain of the ship, but then another guy. 3 characters fall off and they eventually come upon the Nautilus, which is the submarine, and they get on board and they meet Captain Nemo and kind of figure out his story. And so through the whole thing, you're like learning more about why are they going around destroying these ships. And it's essentially this guy who he grew up on a prison camp kind of island where they just had to work, and then he saw like the gears of war and how like what war did to people. So he built this submarine for himself that he would go out and he just took out a bunch of different warships in order to kind of like stop war kind of thing.
Gotcha. So he's
So spoiling the movie.
He's a vigilante.
Yeah. Spoiling the movie.
High Seas Vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiling the movie
There's
though.
a movie title.
They go back to Volcana, the birthplace of the Nautilus, and the some other person who was pissed off about their boats being destroyed goes to Volcana to take the plans for the Nautilus so they can like have that information themselves too. And so he doesn't want that information getting in someone else's hands. So he goes back, destroys that, but then gets shot. And since he is shot, like his whole entire ship has vowed to go down with him, and so they sink their own ship and die.
Dang.
And that's the end. Well, the
Wow,
three guys.
that's a really depressing movie.
All right.
I'll
Cool.
spoil it, but the 3 guys get off. It's super cool because he says, "And this too shall pass, all in God's good time." As the Nautilus sinks down, and I literally cry when I watch that. Like, yo, that's so badass. I want to do that. But moral of the story is, you could have a prequel with him like between the prison camp and like building the Nautilus, and just this whole like raged kid.
Oh, that'd be like a
Would
Captain
that
Nemo origin
undercut-
story, basically.
Would that undercut the movie, like learning about his
100%.
like story? Okay.
It would ruin that movie.
Oh, 100%.
That's why it's a prequel.
To ruin the thing you've already seen,
Nice.
with the intention that you watch the first
So you're
one
saying,
first, and
you're
then
saying
the
it's like a
prequel.
Star Wars prequel. You ruin like the
Yeah, you should
like,
watch the first one before you watch the second one, so you don't get
the original. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Chocolate Dollar Show. If you have a movie sequel idea, let us know. Tweet at us at Chocolate Dollar. Soon, we'll have scene29.com finally up.
Finally.
And we'll have forums there where you can participate. Feel free to leave a review. Let us know what you thought about the show.
Honestly, if you just want to write down a list of the movies you've seen in the comments, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Every single one.
Every single movie you've ever seen in your entire
Elmo
life.
and Grouchland, Jurassic Park.
All right.
We're just curious.
Thank you guys again for listening to this episode of the Chocolate Dollar Show. Chocolate Dollar signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Chocolate Dollar Podcast. Check in next time.